Hey, this is Yasuki Wolf, and welcome to another episode of the Japan Quest live stream slash podcast, in which I've been talking about my experiences living in Japan and going into manga and other sort of creative fields. And now we're kind of switching over into the gaming industry and my experiences in gaming. And then today, also, I would like to bring another person working in the gaming industry in Tokyo. John, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is John Bro, and I've been working in the gaming industry for not too long. Actually, maybe about 5 months now.
Okay.
So yeah,
So about the not too much less than me. I guess I'm just over 2 years now, but I'm sure both of us have been into gaming since long before that, and that's sort of the topic of this particular video today. We're just kind of talking about how we ended up here. Well, first off, how we ended up in Japan. Neither one of us are particularly native Japanese. You're both from America, and then how we ended up in Japan, and also how we ended up in the gaming industry, and our thoughts on that. So I don't know, John, do you want to go first and just give a idea of like what brought you to Japan and what got you into gaming and why? So you said it's 5 months now. You've been working in the gaming industry now. So what was it that made you make that decision in your life?
right. So I've been in Japan for about 10 years now. And that might sound kind of strange since I've only been in the industry for about 5 months. Like,
Mhm.
so what have I been doing the rest of the time?
Yeah.
Mostly just engineering stuff. I came to Japan as a foreign exchange student for a
Hmm.
year, and had a really good time.
Yep.
And I wasn't. I've always loved games.
Mhm.
As a kid, growing up in the Nintendo NES days.
So what was the first game that you were introduced to? Like, what's the first game that you saw that you have a memory of?
Yeah, so back in those days, not everyone had like a system
Yeah.
because uh, I don't know. I was like 6 years old, I believe, and my
Mm.
friend had an Atari,
Ooh.
and I just remember going to his house all the time and just always thinking in the back of my mind, I hope I play this Atari. I hope I play this Atari.
So it wasn't really sure if you were gonna play or not when you went there.
Right.
No.
I mean, he was a good friend and all, but when I was growing up, also, I would have other friends, and I would go around the neighborhood
Hmm.
actually borrowing their games and stuff.
Yeah. So did
So,
you have a system of your own, or
oh,
mostly just visiting friends?
yeah, yeah, I did have a NES, and
Oh, okay.
the first game was, of course, Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
So, um, after that, just I just kept on playing, through the Nintendo years.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, uh, I guess if I was to say which systems I've had would be Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and then from there I got heavily into the PC side of
Yep.
games,
Hmm. Yeah, me as
and
well.
even still, PC is kind of like the main gaming system for me. But I've also throughout the time had a PlayStation 3,
Hmm.
and now I have a Nintendo Wii U.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. So it sounds like there was Nintendo and PlayStation, a lot of Japanese based systems there. So did you have a lot of influence from Japanese games or Japanese design when you were younger? Do you think?
Mainly just from playing them.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I believe maybe 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and I'm sure other people have uh, maybe the same kind of experience. But
Right.
Indie Game the movie,
Oh, yeah.
it kind of just really it struck a chord with me, and then
Mm,
from there, I kind of just started exploring like, oh, could I actually make games?
yeah. When was the indie game the movie came out? Was that like last year or 2 years ago?
Oh, it was at least 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing it fairly well while I was already working at the company I'm at right now. But yeah, definitely just seeing that and just seeing them making games and being like all just about making games and making things that are fun and basically having something that they want to exist and working like night and day to bring that into existence just seems so amazing and kind of like just felt euphoric just watching it, right?
Yeah, just a culmination of creativity, technology, psychology. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what you know made me look at game development in kind of like this amazing way. Uh,
Mm. Yeah, just in
yeah,
case any of my viewers or our viewers haven't heard of Indie Game the movie, I'll put a link in the description. But it's definitely worth watching if you are at all interested in the gaming industry, particularly indie games.
yeah, and so from there, I kind of started experimenting with Unity
Oh, nice.
and started thinking, oh, I can actually make games with this,
Yep.
and put in my resignation notice to my company and
Hmm.
started to study games full time.
Nice.
And as in most you know first tries, you fail, which is
Yep.
normal. But I am a married man, and so I need to provide for my wife and child. So I got
Right.
a regular job, but this time in the gaming industry as a programmer.
Yep. So you're working at, just to clarify to everyone that you're working as a, well, John is working as a programmer and I myself am working more in like 2D graphics and game planning. So, but we both are in similar mobile gaming industry, right?
Yeah, I have a strong interest in game design myself, but
Yeah.
right now it's more of like a hobby kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And this is something that I might go into later, but I'm finding more and more that it seems like it's hard to do everything within a company if you actually are interested in doing your own kind of game planning and game design on the side, because it takes so much energy that it almost seems like it may be a better route. We'll have to explore this possibly in the future, but it may be a better route to kind of have a smaller field of work, like just only doing programming or only doing on my side 2D graphic work in the actual standard company work, and then having your own thing that you could do on the side with your own personal projects.
Yeah, and it's really nice, for me at least, to do programming at work and then
Mhm.
at home, design and other projects.
Yeah,
It's really fulfilling to kind of, you know, uh, touch all the bases and
yeah. Especially being married with a family and everything, to have that base of being able to have a standard, a regular income, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what about you, Wolf?
Yep.
Have you gone through your history with with your viewers?
Um, I went through a lot of it, mostly in terms of my experience being in Japan and studying design, more so in the manga and illustration side. I haven't talked too much. I may have touched a little bit, but not too specifically about how I got into what my why I got into gaming per se, or how I got into gaming. So I guess I go into that a little bit now. But I guess with my experience, it was that, same as you. I think we both came into the same kind of generation, like the Atari coming into the first Nintendo generation. I have very, very vague memories of Atari. I can't say which game I played. I think it was like I probably just saw someone else playing or something. I have like very vague memories of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely remember seeing Pong and Pac-Man. Those two are pretty clear.
At the arcade?
Yeah, yeah. Like I remember going to like a bar with well, I don't know if bar is the right wording, but I remember being at like some type of like adult atmosphere with my family at some sort of gathering, and they just happened to have like a Pac-Man arcade machine there, and I remember playing that. And Pong, I might have actually seen on Atari. I can't remember exactly, but my first like really clear memory is of course Super Mario Brothers with Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, I think it made a lot of sense for me to eventually go into game design, because even though when I was younger, I never really did a lot of programming, but I did a lot of like analog gaming where I would kind of make up my own games with just sheets of paper. Like first off with Super Mario Brothers, I kind of took inspiration from that, and I started just drawing out like long sheets of stages that I made up for my own games, where it would be like platforming type of a game where you would just have to imagine your player in there moving around, and it wasn't at all playable, but the very little young me was still already trying to like think of how I could make platforming levels and things, and I have like scraps of paper that have those sketches still on them.
Do you still have those?
Yeah, yeah. I've actually kept them for a while, and I'm thinking that if I ever get a chance, I want to try to just make sort of like an indie project of bringing my little like 8-year-old brain like brainstormed games into to life somehow. But the first ones that didn't really seem, that wasn't really that fleshed out as a game. But after later on when I played Legend of Zelda, and also like around that same time, I also remember playing Myst on the computer,
Mm-hmm.
and I sort of took inspiration from both of those, and I made a fairly cool like game that's actually still playable now, like where it's basically on one side of the paper is a big world map, and it has like your starting point, and you can move around. Well, when I say move around, I'm just saying that you imagine yourself moving around. You don't actually have a movable piece or anything, but you would have different like houses and different places you could go to, and when you go into a place, you would turn the paper around, and on the opposite side of the page, it would have what you found in whatever room. So you'd have one person playing as like a game master who would turn around the paper and tell you what it says on the side that you went in, and then you turn it back around, and then you go through to the next area, and you'd have to find like maybe keys or something to progress to the next part of the page, and so forth. But yeah, I'm looking at it now, and I did it when I was like either 8 or 10. I can't remember exactly, but it's still playable. It's still playable, and it kind of just shows those roots of that. Even at that young age, I was thinking about game design and just not playing games just as a game player, like not just to entertain myself, but as sort of like a source of inspiration to make something of my own afterwards.
That's I'm actually quite jealous of that because
Oh,
I mainly just played games, but you hear that story a lot from game designers where at an
yeah,
early age you just dig right into game design without even thinking about it,
right.
going levels and stuff. So that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
that's what's kind of strange about it. Is that it really is without thinking about it, because like after that, um, I didn't know any actual game designers. I didn't know anyone, even illustrators or anyone that was making a living in a creative field. So I just assumed that wasn't something you could do for work. So I spent so much of my life kind of just looking for other things to do instead to for a career or whatnot. And I just kept going back to like either like illustration and game design, just all those creative fields, because that really was where my heart was at. But I had somehow been convinced that you couldn't make money that way.
So about what time did you kind of realize you could do this, I think, for a living or as a
Yeah.
job?
Well, I think a big turning point for me. Sure, when was that exactly? I'm really bad with dates, but I had come to Japan. I was living in Japan for a while. I was thinking of actually doing like translator work, or doing like being a live interpreter or something like that, which ended up being a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. Even though my Japanese is fairly is fairly fluent, I would say. It's still doing live interpretations a whole another ballpark. And yeah, I was around that time that there was a photographer from Singapore who came to Japan, and she I was her assistant in Japan, like kind of just helping her get around Japan and organizing her photo shoots and things. And I went to a couple photo shoots with like a Gothic Lolita and a couple different other like magazines over here.
Hmm.
And like I got to know her, and I realized that she was just another creative person like me, but yet she was like living and making a career with her creativity. And that was like really inspirational to me, that like, oh, why am I not doing this, right? And so after that experience, I kind of like said, okay, I'm going to spend time every day after work from now on to start getting a portfolio together and just try to get into a creative field. And it wasn't at that point I didn't really know that I wanted to go into gaming per se, but definitely that I wanted to do something creative. And I went over toward manga for a while, and my viewers have probably heard my stories about going to manga university for a while and studying that, and going to different publishers trying to get published. And then I have a whole nother video explaining why I ended up giving up on manga, if
Hmm.
people are interested in that. But when I was in school, I was actually doing a double major of of manga, and also for what is it, character design. What was it called again? Can't remember the exact name, but it was basically like game design slash character design. And because after the first 2 years of doing manga, I realized that manga wasn't the right place for me. I ended up going over toward gaming.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it simple, but there's just my road was so kind of meandering that there's so many parts to the story that I kind of want to tell, but I don't want to go on for hours. So I'm trying to keep it as succinct as possible. But I think one thing I do want to say is that when I was in the university, not the university, the vocational school for manga, the design school, they mentioned they said that you shouldn't try to be a manga artist unless you really really love manga, like to the point where you couldn't go like a week without reading manga, or you couldn't go a month without like knowing what the newest manga is that's coming out and everything.
Yeah.
And I realized after being there for 2 years that I didn't really love manga to that extent. For
Mhm.
me, it was just like manga was a tool that I could use to kind of express my creativity, but I wasn't really in love with like with with manga. Like I mean, there's some manga that I like, but there's a lot of manga that I don't like, and I could easily go like a week to a month without even touching a manga, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
couldn't go that long without knowing about what's going on in the gaming industry.
Yeah. I feel the same way, and it's this reason
You know,
that when I kind of decided that I wanted to be, a game developer, I was like, wait, you know, if I was, if I really want to be a game developer, then
yep.
why didn't I want to be game developer like after college or something? Because
Uh,
I knew that game developers existed. I played games all the time,
yep.
so why wasn't I motivated enough to kind of like pursue that path?
Right.
And that's like in the back of my head saying, wait, do you are you really cut out for this? Like,
Hmm.
um,
Do you have that perseverance, I guess, is the question.
yeah. So sometimes I second doubt myself, like, oh, maybe you're kind of, still not on the right path,
Hmm.
but I don't know. It it seems right now,
Right. Right.
but it's something that I always question myself about.
Yeah, I don't I think it's kind of difficult for some, like I think there's definitely the people who already know from the beginning that this is exactly what I want to do. But for creative people in general, I think that I'd say there's probably a good amount of people who have so many interests that it's hard to be able to say that this is the one area, this is the one thing, and not have any like period of uncertainty where you're kind of just exploring different options, right?
Hmm.
So, like, I know for myself, I didn't. I definitely can see now, looking back at my life, that gaming was always there, and it makes sense that I would be in gaming now. But I didn't really know that was what I wanted to do for a career until quite recently.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of tough to figure out, I guess. But I guess that's our journey for everyone, to kind of figure out where you fit in and what you can do to leave the strongest impact, like in the world while you're here, right?
Yeah, and just I guess kind of changing the conversation just a little bit.
Yep.
I think uh, this saying or this
Yep.
kind of study where you have five different levels or six, I forget how many levels of
Hmm.
like levels that you must satisfy before going on to the next.
Oh, is that the? I think there's a psychological thing, right? I
It,
forgot the
it's
name
like
of it.
it's like the first one's like
Yeah.
hunger, you must satisfy that. The next
Yep.
one is like, shelter,
Hmm.
and you just keep on going up until you reach like the, peak of, whatever you're trying to find. But
Yep.
I think I was going through that process, and it wasn't until I got to the peak when, near the peak. I'm not saying I'm at the peak right now, but
Right.
I was like, okay, what's next? And it's like, oh, I don't really, really love doing this, electrical engineering job that I had before.
Right.
And then that's kind of when I started to explore more and like look at game design. I mean, game development as like a serious thing.
Right. but you had to take care of those lower needs first before you can kind of free yourself up to look toward the higher
Yeah.
need, right? And I just found just by the way, just I did a Google search for it. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I believe.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
that's what I was doing, I think.
yep.
That's what I hope to think. You know.
I
Otherwise, I
think
really don't know.
yeah, I think definitely that probably does have something to do with it. You can't like the self-actualization is the very top of that scale, it seems, and um, I'm sure that there are you kind of do go up and down a lot during your life between the different levels of needs, but it's hard to kind of see clearly what it is that's going to really make you feel self-actualized before you even have like a sense of safety about your like environment or a feeling of love and belonging and esteem and all those other needs that are below that as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And now that you're married and you have you had jobs that kind of took care of your daily needs of housing and everything else, I guess it was the right time for you to kind of be able to think about, okay, now that I have all the basic stuff taken care of, what is it that's going to really make me like the happiest, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think got all those out of the way, for to say, just to
Yeah,
get game development.
yeah. And I think that could be encouraging for other people who are listening who may be interested in going into gaming or other creative fields in general, that maybe it hasn't gone so well so far. Maybe there has been a lot of like side tracks or like side quests per se that they've been going through that have been taking them away from what they thought was their original goal. That it's never really too late to come back and re-center yourself to find that goal, right?
Yeah, it's kind of scary because
Yeah.
I'm 33, by the way.
Right. Oh, and I don't know if I ever said my age, but I think am I also 33? I think I am. Yeah, I am. I am 33 too. Yeah.
Yeah, usually in the game industry, you hear about, oh, you join at like right after college in your 20s, early 20s,
Yep.
and then you work like a dog until
Right.
you're 30 or so, and then people leave. So I'm like,
Mm.
oh crap, I'm already 33. I don't know if I can do this. Like
Yep.
all this crunch and overtime, but
Yep.
so far so good, I guess.
And I think this is probably maybe going a little bit different direction of the original topic, but I think it is kind of important because I know that I personally I listen to a lot of like podcasts or streams about creators, particularly like freelance illustrators and game designers as well, who they give their story of how they got into the industry. And a lot of times, like in that my story has been a very complicated one, I expect to hear a very complex story of how they got there. And most of the time you just hear like, yeah, I graduated and then I sent a portfolio to this guy and then I got in, and you're like, oh crap, like they got in so easily and why am I and I'm here struggling. And it's like it's opposite. It's sometimes even like discouraging to hear that, right?
Yeah,
So I think it is kind of important for us to kind of be able to show the opposite pattern where, we're in our 30s now and just now getting into the game, and we've had a lot of like kind of different paths leading up to that, but that doesn't mean that it was too late. I could also say that when I was studying Japanese, I remember my teacher in my linguistics class, he said something like that if you didn't learn a foreign language by the time you were either 16 or 18, I can't remember exactly, but it was definitely in the teens, that you wouldn't be able to learn it after that. And I was 23 when I heard that, and I was like, "What? Why? But I'm studying Japanese now. How am I going to learn if I'm already past the teen years, right?"
yeah, yeah. That's he was lying to you. He was
Yeah,
lying to you, Wolf. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. When did you start studying Japanese, by the way?
Oh, well, I guess I began to watch anime. I wouldn't
Yep.
call that studying, of course,
It's
but
a
yeah,
crash course.
yeah, it's Crash Course from
Yep.
15 years old.
Oh, nice.
Watching Dragon Ball Z.
In
And
Japanese?
uh, sometimes,
Wow, I saw Dragon Ball Z in English. I never actually saw the Japanese one.
I was always fascinated listening to Japanese rather than listening to dubs, you know?
Right. Right.
So I kind of, you know, watched a lot of anime at that time. And then from college, that's when I
Yep.
kind of officially, picked up a book
Mhm.
and learned from actual teacher. So
Mhm. Okay, so college. So you would definitely say that you don't have to pick it up by the time you're 18 then or 16,
oh, no way, no
right?
way.
Yep.
However,
Mhm.
I will not say that I didn't have any help. I learned or I studied French for four
Yep.
years in high school.
Oh, okay.
So
So you do have a kind of a basis of language then,
yeah,
understanding, right?
I think it is really helpful to have at least experience in a second language.
Hmm.
So
Or even just to be really good at English and to kind of know the difference between a subject and an object and like present participle and that type of stuff possibly.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about um, what what brought you into gaming now, or do you want to kind of move on from there from that topic?
I'm sure we'll have more time later, but yeah,
Yeah.
let's continue. Let's go on, I guess.
All right. Yeah, I know that I had a whole lot more to say, but I was trying not to say too much because it would go on forever. And I'm sure we'll have more specific topics in the future. But yeah, for now, it's just to kind of get a feel for what type of games you've been playing, what type of games you like, and what you've been doing lately. It's been the Steam. It was the Steam Summer Sale just ended, or is about to end. I think in like 16 hours or so, right?
Yes, the glorious Steam sale. Much money has been spent.
Nice. How many games do you think you got this time?
uh, Quite a bit. Okay, let me think. So I got one. I'm counting right now. So one,
Okay,
two, three, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7.
7. Okay.
So not crazy, but
Yep. Depends on the
it'll
prices of those though.
it keeps me busy until the I think there's a Steam sale in like October,
All right, is that
the Halloween one.
the autumn? I don't know. I know they have the spring sale, the summer sale, and is it the fall sale? I guess.
Yeah,
Yep.
they probably have four a year.
Hmm.
I don't know,
Yeah, something like
but
that. But I think definitely Steam has been very influential in getting me to kind of move over to PC gaming as being my main thing now. I
yeah,
was. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's amazing because you have the gamepad and the mouse.
Yep.
Everything's so cheap,
Right.
and it's just right there on your computer anyway that you're always on. So
Yeah, like before, I think there was some difficulty where PC was pretty much keyboard and mouse, and like you could use a gamepad, but it was always kind of complicated to kind of set it up, and some games were not completely compatible.
hmm
But now, with ever since like the Xbox controller, they've been pretty consistent having all games be usable with the same type of settings. So there's no real issue of trying to set up the controller for each individual game anymore. Which, yep,
yeah, it's amazing. That's awesome.
right. But I got about, I don't know, let's see here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I got 14 games.
Wow,
A lot of them are very cheap games though. Like I got a lot of like $1 game or $2 games and so forth.
nice. Are you? Can you list off? I
Yeah,
guess, or we
I
can talk
actually
about it.
I actually made a Twitter post just a couple hours ago, so I could just read straight from there. First one was Awesome Knots. Have you heard of that?
Very nice. I played during a free weekend that Steam had, and
Yep.
I could definitely see myself getting that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm really into MOBAs, and the idea of having a side-scrolling MOBA seemed really appealing to me.
hmm
And obviously the theme song was just uh, incredible. So,
Okay.
but the next one is Blood Rain Betrayal. It's like a side-scrolling version of Blood Rain. Have you seen that at all?
I believe I wanted that game. I didn't know that was on sale, or maybe it's
Yeah,
still on sale. What's
it
it
was.
called?
When did I got it toward the beginning? Blood Rain Betrayal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm searching it right now.
yeah, yeah. I got it toward the beginning of the sale, so I don't know if it's still on sale now. But it was either a flash or a daily, like in the first couple days. Then
Blood
after that,
Rain.
did you find it?
I'm not getting it.
Uh, Oh, maybe it's because it's spelled Rayne.
That would be it.
Yeah. And the art style is just very like comic book esque and stylistic, and it looked like it's seems to be a pretty challenging platform side scroll like beat 'em up type of game. So definitely try that out.
I can see it now.
Yeah.
It seems like a pretty old game.
Oh yeah. Probably a lot of things I got are pretty old. Sort of since I have so many games in my library already on Steam, I'm never in too much of a hurry to get games, so I tend to wait for them to go to be really cheap on sale before I buy them.
So is this a game you've been looking to play for a long time and you've just kind of seen it on sale, or
Oh yeah, like generally anytime I see a game that I think looks interesting, I'll just put it in my wish list and wait for it to go on sale.
okay.
So I was looking at this since like I don't know, maybe like half a year ago.
All right.
Yeah. But then another, let's see if I can figure out what this is called. Okay, I'm gonna skip that one. I can't read it. But I got Legend of Grimrock 2 because I really liked the first one.
Yeah, I really need to try those turn-based dungeon crawl games. It's
Yep.
really cool.
And now Legend of Grimrock is actually not exactly turn-based. That was kind of interesting about it is that it moves like it's turn-based, but if you don't do anything, the enemy will just keep coming towards you. So it's not exactly turn-based. It actually is real time.
So I guess the movement is I guess not turn-based then.
Yeah, just the movement is limited to up, down, left, right, and you don't have any diagonals or anything. And you move one square at a time. That's what makes it feel kind of turn-based. But it's but you can move at any speed you want, and the enemies don't. With enemies like you know Crypt of the Necrodancer, right?
Yeah.
It's basically the same as that, where you, um, you could well I guess I'm sorry I'm wrong. It's the same as that if you're playing as the rogue, the one who can, or as the bard, I'm sorry, the bard, because he can ignore the beat of the song.
Yeah.
That's
I
what the controls are like in Grimrock.
yeah, I have a dirty confession that
Yep.
I only play with the board.
All right. Oh, it's
Because
not too bad. Yeah, because
I like to take my time and think about stuff, and I
yep,
usually watch videos,
yep,
while I play the game. So
right,
I don't feel like I'm in a rush when I play the bard.
right. Yeah, you don't
The
have to
whole purpose
follow
of
each
the
beat.
game. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. The bard's kind of like a practice character, it seems like, but it fits your play style.
Yeah.
Then of course I got Shovel Knight. Figure it's time that I get that, start playing that.
You will not be disappointed.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, so
Yes.
that'll definitely be something I'll be looking forward to. And then this, have you heard of Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds?
I have not.
It it sort of looks like Scott Pilgrim versus the World type of beat 'em up, like eight. I want to say 8-bit, but it's definitely not 8-bit. But just pixelated illustration style.
Mhm.
But it's with like chibi anime characters.
Okay. Looks pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
Look, yeah.
so it seems like you're interested in anime style uh, design. Kind of going on a tangent here.
Oh
Are
yeah.
you interested
Well,
in
that's a
these
good
kind of
tangent to go
games?
to. So if you look at my Steam library, you'll probably find that I play just about anything. I definitely not like it's not like all like first person shooters or all RPGs. Is I have all types of games in there, but being that I live in Japan and that working for a Japanese gaming company, I want to get as much influence from games that have that Japanese aesthetic as possible, just to be able to have that as what's the word, um, sort of like a conversation point for when I'm pitching different game ideas or coming up with game systems for things that could be marketable toward a Japanese audience.
Yeah, I that is one thing where you definitely excel over me with, because it's not just the I like you. I like all
Yep.
kinds of different games.
Right.
Um, I don't think I experiment as much as you do with different games.
All
So
right.
that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing think that's difficult for us,
Mhm.
even though you do like kind of like studied all these kind of different games with art styles. Like
Right.
Phantom Breaker is we don't have that history
Yep.
of all the games that Japanese people players have played
Right.
when they were young. So
Yep.
I find that communicating kind of game ideas and
Yep.
different concepts, it's quite a challenge.
Right. That definitely like I may have talked about this in one of my other videos. I don't remember, but when I was in the manga school, I remember trying to understand moeke, like moe style, and I have another video about that if anyone doesn't really know exactly what I'm talking about. But just for now, suffice it's the Japanese kind of popular style of art. And I would look at something and that was in the moe style and copy it almost verbatim, like, and then show it to someone, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's not moe," you know. It's like, but what's different? It's the same freaking thing. But it's like, no, it's not moe. And that's when I first realized that there definitely is that difference in background of like the years and years of playing games in our experience versus like the experience of someone who was born in Japan and has been influenced, not influenced, exposed to that their whole lives. They have a whole different viewpoint, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't. Some people may be familiar with the game Honey Pop, I think it is. There's a number of games like that on Steam that are they're kind of Japanese inspired games, I should say, because they're made outside of Japan, but they have like the Japanese anime type of style to it. And I could show that to my Japanese friends here, and I'd say about maybe 30% of it, or maybe I'll be generous and say about half of it will look like it was actually made by a Japanese studio. But the other half, as much as they're trying to mimic that Japanese style, from a Japanese person's perspective, it still looks like a foreigner did it,
Hmm.
and that's somewhat unavoidable.
It's pretty crazy.
You know,
Um,
and I
I was
think
gonna,
that's a whole another topic for us to keep for another episode.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So what other games you got?
And we got Spelunky, which was recommended to me by yourself, right?
Very highly recommended. I'm kind of confused
Yep.
that the user reviews don't have it as overwhelming and positive.
Oh, really?
No, just because
Mhm.
I think I love it so much, but looking
Yeah.
at all of the I think some of the reviews, I kind of
Yep.
understand why some people don't like Spelunky.
How could someone not like this game? Is
Yeah.
what you're thinking, right?
Yeah. It's it can be kind of confusing if you're not used to, roguelikes
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
because you come in with the expectation of gathering all these jewels and gems, going
Right.
at your own pace, trying to get to the exit, but
Yep.
it's not about, you know, defeating all the enemies and getting to the end. It's more like get as much as you can within a certain amount of time without dying.
Yeah.
It's not you versus the environment. I mean, enemies,
Mhm.
but you versus the environment.
Ah, yeah. Yeah. There's definitely. I've only played for like maybe I don't know, a half hour so far,
Mhm.
but I definitely experienced a bit of that where at first I was like, I don't really get what my goal is. Because yeah, you see, well, first off, there's the enemies thing where you see the enemies and you're like, okay, I just have to kill the enemies and progress. But then like you'll just randomly die from something in the environment, like I don't know, if you pick up an item and something falls from the ceiling and crushes you, or or like you walk in front of something and an arrow shoots out of nowhere and kills you, and it's like what the? Like, at first it's kind of shocking. It's like it's not what you were expecting, right?
Yeah, the good thing about it is this game does it well is every time you die or
Yep.
get damaged,
Yep.
there's a reason for it,
Right.
and
Right.
it's totally avoidable.
Yep.
Everything that you do, if you be careful about it or if you look out for it, you can get through like the whole game without getting hurt. It's all
Mm.
about learning from your
Yep.
mistakes
Yep.
and understanding how the environment works.
Right. And
It's
I
a
imagine like it would be very difficult for someone to, on their first playthrough with no experience of looking at any Let's Plays or any information about the game, keep in mind this is the opinion of someone who only played for 30 minutes so far, but I imagine it would be hard for someone on their first playthrough to avoid a lot of the deaths because it's not things that you would expect to kill you initially.
Yeah, and you might not realize it at first. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I died. That's crazy. That's so stupid. I don't understand this stupid game.
Right.
But you know, if you look at how you died,
Yeah.
then you can not die the next time, right?
Right.
It's not unfair.
Right.
So
So I think that was the initial maybe a possible reason for maybe some people kind of being turned off at the beginning is that it's not what they were expected. But like you're saying, after you start playing and you start dying in numerous different ways, you can kind of see, well, this is avoidable. Let me just try it differently in the future. That was the first thing that I noticed. The other thing was that I wasn't sure exactly what my goal was in terms of like should I be trying to collect as much gold in the area as possible, or should I be trying to save the damsels, or should I just try to progress as far as possible? And the reason why I was kind of confused about that is because when you die, it doesn't seem like you really hold on to anything
mhm.
like, I mean, I could be wrong, but as far as I could tell, once you die, you just start back from zero. It didn't seem like anything you had done is saved is carried over, is it?
That's correct. You
Okay.
you do unlock, I guess, different sprites for your character.
Yeah. Oh, you do. How do you
Yeah.
unlock those?
So in the game, you'll find these caskets,
Hmm.
and if you open it,
Yeah.
and a character will jump out and kind of like act as like your NPC for a while,
Mhm.
helping you along. But the
Okay.
next time you play the game, you can actually choose to play as them.
Oh, okay.
It's
So
it's the exact
yeah,
same like
as Necrodancer, I
action
guess.
set, no extra like abilities or anything. Just they look different.
Oh, okay. So you just get a different skin, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do like how everything starts over.
Hmm.
Some games I do like it where you have progress,
Right.
but some games like this, it's really nice to be like, okay, I'm starting over from scratch. Here I go. You know, like I
Yeah.
can do awesome. There's no like special. No one else who owns this game is going to start out in like a better position than I am right now because we're all
Yeah.
even,
Right.
and it's pretty cool that way.
Yeah, I think definitely this is kind of like the old school roguelike model, I guess, of just kind of going at it, and when you die, it's over, and everyone is has the everyone starts at zero, so there's no real sense that this person he he paid 9.99 to get the extra crystals to give him the special starting item or something like that, right?
Or even he played for 10 hours, and this is like my first time playing. We're still even,
Right,
so that's
right,
kind of nice too.
yeah. And not that there's anything wrong with the other progression model, but just like you were saying, that there are times where you want to have that ongoing progression, and there's times that you just want to have that one consistent challenge that's completely even on all ends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, was there anything any particular game that you got that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah. So let me look at my library.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna go down my list.
All right.
I got this. It's really cheap flash sale game called Creeper World 3.
Creeper World 3. Okay, I want to check this out. I think you mentioned that before.
Yeah, and you look at it and it's like, oh, it looks like some kind of a web flash game, and
Mhm.
it kind of does, but it's a it's really interesting, overhead strategy game
Hmm.
where you build a base, you build it out, and you increase your resources. Build your machine,
Hmm.
and you fight off kind of like this sludge, this enemy, this kind of alien life form that kind of keeps on growing and growing, and you need
Hmm.
to, I guess, amass your resources in a way to kind of block it off and destroy the source.
Hmm.
And it's it's an RTS, but also tower defense kind of
Hmm.
game.
And it looks like there's different planets and stuff involved with this, or
Yeah, and you know, it, the story is actually kind of cool. You know, it's it's about you are awoken in a ship after like traveling for like eons
Mhm.
because you must try to defeat this alien life form which has destroyed innumerous civilizations,
Yep.
and you are here to kind of like brought in to finally defeat the sludge. I don't know what you call these guys, but
Yep. Whatever.
yeah,
The gobbledygook.
the gobbledygook.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks interesting. And it's
Yeah,
a very like simplistic overhead type of um, what you call it? Uh, like a graphic style, I guess.
yeah, yeah. And I'm a fan of StarCraft
Hmm.
and Warcraft 2, those old games. This is kind of like brings me back to those kind of games, but more less of the kind of like a building an economy
Hmm.
kind of strategy where you use in those games, and this is more of a, I guess, placement,
Ah, okay. So it's
tower defense kind of game. So this is kind of nice hybrid.
cool.
Um, Another game that I got
Yep.
was Freedom Planet.
All right. Yeah, I think I was looking at that as well.
It's a if you like Sonic the Hedgehog,
Oh yeah, that's that one, right?
it's a it's very very cool.
Yeah.
I played it I think last night
Oh, you did? How
for
was it?
like an hour and a half, and I was just kind of grinning the whole time.
Brings you back.
It does. Like the music's great, interesting characters, uh, very cool mechanics. So if you like Sonic, platformers, those kind of games, it's really recommend it.
Yeah, looking at the screenshots, it looks like a spiritual successor, like um, almost directly of the Sonic series.
Yeah, maybe better Sonic.
Yeah. Yeah, you're mentioning the mechanics. Since you have different characters, I'm guessing you have more mechanics than you would have in Sonic.
So I have not played as more than one character so far, so I
Yeah.
can't say.
Yeah.
Um, there are more moves you can do,
Mhm.
and it's an easier game than Sonic is.
All right.
But even though it's kind of simple, it really just it's a pleasure to play with because of all the different environments you get to visit and the speed at which you go through it, and you know
Yeah.
the level design. It's pretty cool.
Well, I did not get a chance to get that this time, but I will put it in my wish list for the next time it goes on sale, maybe.
Yes. Um, then there is Hotline Miami 2,
Yep.
which is a. Have you played the first one?
I haven't. I've definitely heard about it, but didn't get a chance to get it myself yet.
Yeah, it's very bloody
Oh, really?
and kind of like gruesome in a way. Uh, if you don't mind,
Yep.
of course, I recommend it.
Mhm.
Um, it's actually a puzzle
Uh,
game,
oh, it is.
and the reason why I say that, well, I don't know if you say a puzzle game.
I guess it's
I'm saying in an abstract sense, of course.
yeah, yeah. I think I know what you mean. Where it's a puzzle to figure out how to progress the most effectively, or
Yeah. So the great thing about this game is you start out, everything's quiet. You're not inside the house yet of whatever level it is.
yeah,
You break down the door, and then all hell but breaks loose.
yeah,
You're like guns are blazing. You're stabbing people in the neck,
yeah.
you know, and it's all over like in like 20 seconds. And then you get to breathe again, and then you go to the next floor, and you start all over. And when you die, there's no like long game over screen. You start off right where you were, you know, the start of the level, and you just try again. So it's really, you know, it's fun to
So
like,
what's
yeah.
the basic scenario that you're in?
Story.
Yeah.
Story is you get phone numbers. I mean, you get phone numbers. You get phone calls
Yeah.
and they tell you to go like to this place,
Yeah.
and you're a little messed up in the head,
Mm.
and you just kill people at these places.
Ah, okay.
But it's like you're not killing like children or babies, so
Yeah.
you're killing like the mob and the mafia. So
Ah, okay.
it's not that bad.
Yeah. Is there anything that puts that sets like part two apart from the first one?
uh, there is one thing.
Yeah.
Uh, for one, in the first one, you play as one guy,
Mm.
and during the game, you get to wear different masks that he wears on
Mm.
his head, and
Yeah.
each one kind of lets you play the character in a different way,
Mm.
like Deadly Fist or knocking down doors kills the person, or
Mm.
super fast or something.
Yeah.
In the second one, you do have masks, but you can also play as different people.
Hmm.
Like
Neat.
one one guy is
Sorry about that.
so
Sorry, I had a phone call. Go ahead.
yeah, it's okay. So one character is you just walk in with a gun or whatever weapon you have and you go crazy.
Yeah.
Another character is you actually control two guys.
Hmm.
One has like a chainsaw and the other has a gun,
Hmm.
and each one you control with like, or you attack with a different mouse button.
Okay, so
Sometimes
it gives you kind of variety depending on which character you're using.
mhm. So yep, recommend it.
All right, cool. Well, suppose that that's it's been we're going close to an hour now, so unless you have anything more to add, I guess that we could close off our first episode.
Sure.
Great. So next time, let's think of a couple more topics and go a little bit more in depth into our experiences in the industry here. Today was sort of just like a warm up, explaining how we got into gaming and what our experiences were with gaming from our past. But next time we'll probably get more into depth into specific topics for the future. So until next time.
Yep. Nice talking with you.
There you go. Yeah, you probably should think of an outro at some point, but yeah, we'll save that for next week.